Hello guys, welcome to this lesson. My name once again is Henry. Today I want to walk us through three basic laws of logarithms. This is necessary because of how models can become. They could be so large that we'll need to, bring them in a reduced form that can help us in working, or they could be very small and we want to amplify them so that we can, use them for whatever we have designed them to do. These kind of issues we can resolve by some kind of transformations. Logarithm happens to be a transformation in maths where we can transform our models into forms that we can use them. I'll walk us quickly through my screen so we can have a perspective on this. As you can see on the screen, I already have something to start with. The title is Laws of Logarithms. And I just have a small definition here. The logarithm of a number to any base is the power the base is raised to give the number. Okay, let me open that up so we can see that clearly. All right, is the power the base is raised to give the number. Okay, now this we can write in a mathematical form so that we can have it the way we want to see that mathematically. Now let's put that definition in math language. Give it a math language here. Um, this definition, we can write it in this way mathematically. The logarithm of a number, say p to base x, let's give it a base. It has to be in a particular base. Let's say this time we are dealing with base x. So logarithm of p to base x, if this is what we have as y, in other words, if this is assigned to y, we can write this in a form we call index form. And I will explain that to us. This is the same as p equals x to power y. And that means our definition, which we already have up here. So looking at this, what we have here is simply s is raised to y, the power y, and the result is equal to p. It means, therefore, that the logarithm of p is equal to y because s, which is the base, is raised to the number y. This is how we see it mathematically. So I want us to understand that. But let's come and let's look at the three basic laws we want to consider for this lesson. The first is to look at multiplication to addition law. What does this mean mathematically? It means if we have two numbers that multiply themselves and we are taking the logarithm of these two numbers, it is the same result we will get if we add the individual logarithms in the same base respectively. Let's say we have two numbers, p and q. In this case, the product of p and q, and we are taking the logarithm of this product to a particular base, this time base x. We take the logarithm of this product in base x, we'll get the same result as taking the logarithm of p to base x and adding up the logarithm of q to base x. Adding up the logarithm of q to base x. So let's fix that base. All right, so here's what we have. We take the logarithm of two numbers, this time the product of two numbers, pq. We will get the same result as taking the logarithm of the individual numbers to a particular base and summing them up in that order. We'll get the same result. So whatever you have here on the left-hand side is the same you will have on the right-hand side. So that's the first law we're looking at. The second law we'll look at is division to subtraction. In this case, let's say rather than multiplying these two numbers, one of them is divided by the other. In this case, P divided by Q. And we have to take the logarithm of these numbers, okay, to base X. Now, if we take the logarithm of the division as we have it here to base X, we would have the same result as taking the logarithm of P. This is equal to taking the logarithm of P in base X. You take the logarithm in base X, okay, and subtracting the logarithm of Q in the same base X from it. So we are subtracting the logarithm of Q in base X from the logarithm of P in base X. So what you have on the screen here actually means if you have a quotient, we also call division quotient. In this case, P divided by Q, and you are taking the logarithm in base X, you will get the same result as taking the logarithm of P in base S and subtracting the logarithm of Q in base S from it. You'll get the same result. Now, the third case we want to look at, which is the third law here, will be taking the logarithm of an index number. Let's say we are taking the logarithm of P. This time, P is not just P, but it's an index number raised to the power of Q to base X. Raised to the power of Q to base X. All right. So we are taking this time around the logarithm of an index number. This will return to us. What we'll have in this case will be the index multiplying the logarithm of that number. Here the index is Q multiplied by the logarithm of the number, in this case P. Remember, it's in base X, so we have to include the base X in this case. All right, so these are three basic laws of logarithms that we are considering in this lesson. Three basic laws here. The first, which has to do with multiplication to addition, and the second, which has to do with quotient to subtraction, and here the third, which has to do with index to multiplication. We'll take one or two examples to simplify this. In our next lesson, we'll be looking at that. Until then, I would like us to stay tuned because shortly we'll come up with a few examples to, to simplify all of these laws that we have stated here. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.